All right, Jacob Cordero here at SmokingMeatGeeks.com. We're looking at today the ThermoWorks second generation smoke device. So this one, over that first generation that came out at about 2016, this one is a radio frequency style wireless device. So it's actually talking about doing 1.2 miles of transmission. While we know that obstructions and stuff are going to affect the 1.2 mile range that it boasts on here, we do want to at least kind of, put that to the test. And we also want to take it through just kind of like a series to see if it calibrates as it says it will. It says it's going to come out of the box within 1.8 plus or minus as far as accuracy goes. So again, that's going to be one of your most accurate thermometers on the market, so we want to check that out if in fact it does come out of the box that way, or if we need to kind of fine tune it. The ThermoWorks Smoke, as you can see, says 4 on this one. We're going to unbox it in just a second, but you can also get this in a 2-probe model. But basically on the way that the price point works out, they kind of cut you a break on the extra probe, because if you figure the math, the probes are about $18 a piece, and they throw in 2 additional probes. Basically, it's kind of almost comes out to like a buy one, get one free. So you're basically paying for 3 probes, and they throw that 4th one in. So that's something to consider if you feel like you're going to be using more than just the 2 probes. You want to probably opt to get the 4-probe device. So the box comes pretty neat. Comes with the instructions here, and let's see here. We've got our main broadcaster here, and then we've got our receiver. Okay, and this is going to be. Let me get this out of the box here. All right, then that's going to be our receiver. Okay, and then we've got the 4 probes kind of stuck throughout there. They also give you these little color-coordinated rings, which we end up always melting down just because we're always doing all kinds of tests with them. And a cool little handy, wear it like a necktie type thing. So if that's your thing, and while you're grilling and smoking, you're watching the game with this on your neck, then more power to you, right? So you have the opportunity to do that as well. So we'll be taking a look at some of the features on here. One thing to note is this device does hook up to their newest Billows unit, which is their thermostatic controller that'll allow you to control the pit temperature. And so pretty solid build. We've got some magnets on the back so you can attach that bad boy to the smoker or wherever you want to put that. Also has a cool little stand so you can put that and position it up. And then let's look on the back here and see what we've got as far as functions. So you're going to have the ability to turn the wireless broadcasting on and off. You also have a calibration button on the back. That's good. Again, like ThermoWorks says that this thing is accurate to 1.8 plus or minus Fahrenheit. So that's pretty much as accurate as you're going to get out of the box. And then you have the Celsius to Fahrenheit option, and then the on and off switch. And then up front, we've got your ability to select the various channels and then set them, and then we have the volume. Their devices are known for being very loud, which is good if you're just using the remote and outside, and let's say you're inside and you don't have it broadcasting to your transmitter, then you definitely want to be able to hear what's going on with the device. And let's see how well this bad boy does as it relates to the ice test, which is what we always do for all of our thermometers to make sure that they are accurate before we use them right out of the box. And so you're going to see here on the back it does come with batteries, so we automatically have the screen that comes up. So you can see it's pretty much waiting for us to insert our probes in. And so let's go ahead and just insert one of these meat probes in here, and we'll leave the ambient one out. And try not to stab yourselves like I just did. Okay, we've unwrapped it here. So let's go ahead and plug that bad boy in. There you go. And got our cup of ice water here. So let's go ahead and I'm just going to set that there for you. And we're going to stir our probe right in here. And we're looking for a 32-degree reading, which is basically what we want to see. So as you can see, we're at 32.7 degrees. So it's pretty instant that it reads that, especially if it's not transmitting. So that looks to be pretty accurate. So if we wanted to see a little bit more accurate reading than that, which I don't think you can really necessarily get, because that's pretty much as close as you're going to get with any thermometer, but we could calibrate it. So it has that option right here on the back that we can actually start doing that calibration. All right, so let's go ahead and get out to that smoker and let's get that meat on there. We've got the grill ready to go. We're about ready to put the meat on. But before we hook up the billows unit, I want to actually show you how it connects here to this device and how it reads on the channels. Because again, that was one of the nice features about this, about the Smoke second generation, is that it will power the billows device, which is again the device that is offered by ThermoWorks. So this is the billows unit offered by ThermoWorks. It's their brand for their thermostatic controller for their pit temperature, to control the internal pit temperature in your grill. So this is about 60 bucks if you wanted to purchase it from ThermoWorks, and it will connect to this device. Okay, so with the billows, you'll get this Y adapter here. The Y adapter will allow you to basically plug into your smoke device, and so we're going to be plugging that right in. And then from there, we'll have a power cord. We'll have this power cord here. And this power cord will just be USB to an adapter. Again, you won't get that with the smoke device, but the smoke device is compatible if you wanted to have an external power supply instead of the AA batteries. But since the batteries last so long, and the idea is that you have this out at your grill, chances are you don't necessarily need this portion. So let me plug this in. Okay, so that's plugged in. And now I'm just going to connect it here to the Y adapter, which is labeled power. So now we've got both connected, and this basically will indicate here on channel 4 that you have the fan. You can see that fan icon there. Anything on channel 4 is going to be our readings for our device here. So when we set our temperatures, minimum and maximum, just like we would on our probes. So you basically set it at what you want your pit temperature to be, and then it'll keep, it'll regulate the oxygen to your coals to keep that pit where you want the ideal temperature to be. So pretty cool device for those of you that like to do like briskets and things that take a while to actually cook. So you don't have to monitor the pit so often, and so you can have the billows hooked up directly to that unit. So essentially, once you've got that connected, then all you need to do is plug in your ambient probe to channel 4, and the ambient probe is going to read the internal temperature of that pit, and it will kick the fan on and off, and also it does it in intervals where it doesn't necessarily kick it to 100%. It'll also regulate the fan anywhere from 0 to 100% as far as the oxygen it serves. So now, and you can hear the alarm. Let me see if I can mute this alarm real quick. So let me just mute that alarm. And so now we've got the fan actually blowing. So it's blowing some air through here. You can see it spinning in there. And essentially it's going to continue blowing air until it decides that it's getting the internal temperature of that pit close to your ambient temperature, and then it'll start regulating the amount of airflow that it's going to be serving inside the actual grill or smoker. And so let's go ahead and get this thing actually attached to the grill and get our meat thrown on there, and we'll kind of see how well this thing does when we hook it up to the other probes. So we're in the process of getting that grill set up. We're going to be hooking up the billows unit to the smoker. We're going to be using an ugly drum smoker, putting on some tri-tip, and then we'll pretty much, like I said, be kind of checking in with the device throughout and making sure that it's doing its job. So this is our ambient probe. We want to make sure that that goes into channel 4. Okay, and we'll silence the alarm until we have a chance to set it. As you can hear, it's a pretty loud alarm, so you should be able to hear that inside. And our second one. Okay, so now we've got our 2 probes inside the meat reading, and then we have our internal ambient probe there. And now we'll go ahead and plug the device, and you could probably set this thing right there like so, and we'll go ahead and plug in our USB cord into the Billows unit. So Billows is now hooked up. So here we go, we've got all our readings. You can tell our internal temperature is 212, and our alarm's going off because we've set it to a high of 160 here. So anytime it reads that it's above that high temperature setting, it's going to go off. So what we want to do is, first of all, plug in the power to the Billows unit. So that way it realizes that the Billows is actually there, and then it should register on channel 4 that now it's detecting the Billows. So you'll see how channel 4 has changed. You've got a fan icon now, okay, and it's telling us it's set to 230. I can live with 230. If we wanted to change it, we can just go to the channel and then set it at that temperature. So I can hear my Billows fan running right now, so it's automatically just controlling the Billows and doing its thing. So you can see more smoke is coming out of the smoker, and I'm okay with the smoke being a little bit thicker on this cook because we're going to be doing that tri-tip, and it's not going to be on there for, you know, a full 8 or 9 hours. Probably just going to be on there for about maybe 3 hours, 2.5 hours, something like that. Okay, so the transmitter is already duplicating what I've got there on the main dashboard. Okay, it's off by a degree or two, and that's because, again, this is going to receive a signal every 30 seconds. So, you know, it'll update there every 30 seconds or so. And the one thing to note is that I didn't have to do anything to the receiver here. Basically just pulled it out of my pocket, and it was already out of the box, connected and synced up with the transmitter. Okay, so on the other side of the wall is where we have the actual transmitter, and we kind of have it a little low to the ground. You can see there's a brick wall. So what we're going to do is we're going to walk down. We're going to just try to find out how far I can get, you know, and still be able to get a signal here from our transmitter. So I'm just going to kind of walk down the road here and then see where we go. Remember, this thing updates every 30 seconds. So, you know, when I get a decent distance away, I'll take a little pause here and let it catch up, make sure I get a new reading before moving on. So you can see behind me, here we are so far, and see when I get see if I get a reading here. No reading yet. I'll go ahead and take a pause. So we're a decent distance from the house. I mean, we didn't have any problem going anywhere throughout the house. I have a 4-bedroom house, but it's not the biggest. Nonetheless, the idea is that, you know, you can trust that this device, no matter where you're at in your house, is not going to cut off your transmission. Okay, just got an update. So just to confirm, we're looking right there so far, you know, as far as distance wise. And obviously, you know, like talking about the transmission of 1.2 miles, I think is what it said. You know, obviously that's in a straight line with nothing in between you, is typically how the radio frequencies will work. So let's see, let's try here. So a little further down, again, right down at the end of the road there is my house. So we'll go ahead and give it another few seconds, see if we get an update here. Okay, just got an update. Also, when you get an update, the transmitter signal here does blink to let you know that it's received some data. So again, you can see kind of more or less from there where we're at. And just gonna take a few more steps. So I think like from this distance here, the idea is that the first generation smoke would have cut out already with the brick wall in between anyway. Probably would have worked if we had it on the other side of the brick wall still, but the idea is that you can trust the you know, smoke second generation one here to pretty much be good anywhere you go throughout the house. So again, you can see there at the end of the road, we're gonna wait for another transmission here and see if we can get an update from this distance. Okay, I just received another signal. So pretty solid all in all. I imagine we're gonna drop out here somewhere soon, because again, we have that transmitter on the other side of the wall down towards the ground on the barrel. looks like it blinked. So that's pretty much like a good reading. I'm heading back now, but just so that you can kind of get an idea of where we're at. And you can see that big tree there. That's the property that we have the pit barrel at. And you know, it's in the backyard there. So again, the distance, you know, while it's likely not going to be a mile, you know, in between neighborhoods like this where you have, you know, many houses and all these walls in between and that kind of thing, it's going to be good enough for, you know, any home that you might be using it in. To do the cook at home, you should be pretty good to go. Okay, we're back here at the final leg of our cook, and let's take a look at our final product in there. All right, looking pretty darn good. Hang that there. All right, so we'll just pull that off. All right, so we're back. We got a nice sear on the tri-tip here. So we hooked up the Billows device to it. Pretty cool. It's another one of the units, again, ThermoWorks has that you can actually run the Billows device with. So if you own the Billows, now you have an opportunity to run it with either the Signals or the Smoke 2nd generation. So when we turned on the receiver, it automatically was synced up to the transmitter. So that was another feature that basically out of the box comes ready to go. So that kind of brings us to the next point, is that why would you even purchase a device like this that does not have like Wi-Fi or maybe even Bluetooth for this price point? When we were working with it and just kind of turning it on and everything worked, one of the things about Wi-Fi is that you have to integrate it typically with some kind of software. That means an application, that means, you know, Wi-Fi signal, and there's a lot of different things that go into it. While it's nice to have all the data that they log, it's also something nice about just turning something on and having it work. So especially in a commercial environment, that's definitely where this one's gonna excel. And if you look at the price point, it's a little bit less than the Signals device, a little more than the first generation Smoke. So if you're going to want to travel away from the grill with your receiver, this is definitely the longest range we've seen. So we ended up testing out the range, and while I'm actually going ahead and talking, I'm just going to slice right into this tri-tip. So this one came out at about 2.5 hours, 3 hours. Our smoker ended up running a little bit hotter than what we had intended. I was on the pit barrel smoker and we didn't have the vent set right, so it shot up to probably about 290 at one point, but nonetheless, you know, our final result is amazing. And then at the end, again, I gave it that nice little sear. So back to talking about the price point and kind of where we fall in. If you want the ability to have a receiver and a transmitter that go the distance seamlessly, then this is probably going to be the device for you. Mostly because if you want that kind of distance, you're going to have to pay a little extra for it. So while the price is probably about, I don't know, I guess $40 or $50 more than what I've seen for, you know, the device, another device you can get from ThermoWorks, such as, you know, the original Smoke or a couple of others on the market. This one is going to allow you to have the distance that you would need to feel, you know, safe traveling around, let's say a commercial location, or if you do catering, you know, something like that. So we ended up taking it down the block just to kind of see how far we got, and we ended up probably, I don't know, I would say maybe 1,000 feet away, and it was still transmitting through maybe 4 or 5 brick walls, about 6 or 7, 8 houses. So that was pretty good. Obviously, if you're going to be in a home, that's going to be plenty of distance for you. If you're going to be in like a commercial setting, that should be just fine for what you need. Now, on the other hand, just for the fun of it, we took it, we jumped in the truck, headed down the road. We got about 0.2 miles roughly. So, you know, that's probably where your maximum distance is going to be on this thing. As far as in a residential or an environment where you have a lot of walls and different blockage in between the receiver and the transmitter. However, if you happen to be out, let's say, you know, somewhere camping or something like that, where you have wide open area, flat area, nothing really blocking, then you're probably going to be looking at being able to get, you know, 3 or 4 times that distance, and of course, advertised at 1.2 miles. So let's go ahead and just try that out. Dying to try that. Very good. So ultimately, ThermoWorks does it again. ThermoWorks Smoke 2nd generation. Again, 2 probes or 4 probes. We're going to recommend it. And so if you're looking for a good, reliable thermometer that's durable while not having to mess with all the wireless and the Wi-Fi functions, then this is definitely going to be the route to go, especially if you want to be able to power the Billows device and you don't want to spend the extra cash on the signals. So the signals, again, it's that's their Wi-Fi Bluetooth model. So that's probably why they didn't add the Wi-Fi and the Bluetooth in this device, just to kind of keep it simple. Basically turn it on and you're ready to go. So there's no like configuring, there's no syncing. Again, right out of the box, it pretty much just works. So as it relates to ergonomics and functionality, there's really nothing to it. And so it's the smoothest thermometer that we've worked with that actually has a transmitter or receiver or transmits wirelessly to obviously your phone or something like that, where you actually have to use an application. So I hope you liked this review. We're going to go ahead and eat steak and hope to see you next time.